Yesterday in Kilifi, a young man grabbed the president just like that. Now, to understand why this was so alarming, you need to know how presidential security is structured. The president is never protected by just one layer of security. Instead, there are three concentric rings standing between him and the public. First, the outer ring involving the regular police responsible for managing a crowd and filtering who get close to the president. Inside that sits the second unit, the General Service Unit, forming a tight, more disciplined barrier, and the right at that center now is the innermost ring, the Presidential Escort Unit, an elite close protection team whose sole job is to make sure nothing and nobody reaches the president. Three rings, three wall of human security, each one designed to catch whatever the previous one missed. So when that young man got all the way to the president yesterday, it meant all three had failed at the same time. Remember, President Ruto was at a Thanksgiving service in Kilifi, specifically at Mnangoni Primary School in Ganze constituency. While he was speaking at the podium, addressing the crowd, an identified young man, armed with a Bible in his hands, suddenly broke into a run. He slid clean through the outer perimeter of police, then pushed past the GSU barrier, and before anyone could fully even process what happened, he was on the stage face to face with the president, holding on to him. It took a close protection officer's physical tackling the man to the ground before it ended. In the seconds that followed, one question hangs over everything, not just in that school compound in Kilifi, but back in the rooms where these elite guys are trained and given instruction. If a young man carrying a Bible could get that far, what could someone carrying something far more dangerous could have done in that process? Because the gaps he exploited don't disappear just because his intention turned out to be harmless. Those gaps sit there, open, waiting. The three layers, as it turned out, those gaps had been sitting there for a while. But because yesterday wasn't the first time, not even close, look at how it has happened. Go back to February this year. Were actually two separate incidents within the same month. The first one was at the Jomo Kenyatta Showground in Mombasa during a government youth program, that is Nyota. Ruto casually turned to the crowd and asked in Swahili that wapi mtu wa mwisho hapa, which roughly means, where is the last person here? And before a blink of an eye, a barefooted young man named Jeremiah took that literally, broke through the security perimeters and tumbled directly onto the stage. He got all the way there before anyone stopped him. Then weeks just later, still in February, during a development tour in Wajir County, an MCA aspirant named Ahmed Muhammad bypassed the outer ring layer and charged aggressively towards the VIP sitting area before he was grabbed by officers just a feet from where the president was. Feet, not meters. Then go back to even further to October 2025, and things got deadly. An attacker reached Gate D of the State House in Nairobi to an open public rally, but the most fortunate address in the country. During what should have been a routine security check, the man pulled out a concealed spear and dropped into the GSU police constable Ramadan Hamisi Mantaka, killed him on the spot. Officers shot the attacker dead, but the damage was already irreversible. As a man who has shown up to protect his president never went home that day, and even before that, in May 2025, a protester broke through the outer security line at a rally and hurled a shoe at Ruto while he stood through his car sunroof and hit him in Nairobi. Actually, connected before a single security aide could react. So by the time yesterday happened, this was no longer a series of isolation scares. It was a pattern, a loud, undeniable, year-long pattern of the same three protective rings collapsing over and over again. And that's when things move faster. Inspector General of Police Douglas Kanja came out and called the Kilifi incident exactly what it was: completely unacceptable. Then his deputy, who is in charge of security presidents or VIP, Eliud Lagat, moved. Not the next morning, Sunday night, he moved in one decisive sweep. He dismantled the entire top leadership of the presidential escort unit. Commandant Noah Kiriwamayo was removed and recalled to headquarters, a man who has been with President Ruto for more than 15 years. Deputy Commandant also, Judah Matthew Ngwinyo, was sent to a compulsory leave pending his retirement, essentially pushed out permanently. And senior officer Rere Kipchumba was also transferred out entirely and relocated to Vigilant House. But Edwin Lagat went next and sent a loudest message. Rather than replacing these men with administrators, he went straight to the GSU Reke SAP unit, Kenya's most battle-hardened special operation team, and pulled their commanding officer, William Sawe, directly into the top role of protecting the president. The era of paperwork-driven administrators running presidential security was over after the introduction of the new constitution. And to make sure everyone understands the new tone, the National Police Service issued a formal warning. Anyone attempting to breach security barriers around the president would be treated as hostile threat, met with immediate and unyielding force. So yesterday, Kenya drew a hard new line, and this time very different people are standing behind that line.